Berkeley School Committee is paying $7,900 per student to tuition to send their students to Somerset, and I would like to see that money in Swansea.
Thank you.
Mrs. Freitas.
We would not have to build a new high school for regionalization. There's quite a bit of support for regionalization with the DESE, with the Commissioner of Education, and the Secretary of Education. There's been talk of mandates, and last year they talked about the smallest school systems being mandated to get together and regionalize. We were not in the phase 1 of that, but Swansea schools, I believe, would have been in phase 2, the numbers that they were discussing. It's extremely important to consider, but there's so many logistical problems that I don't have the answers to, and I don't profess to know, which is why I'm assuming it takes Somerset and Berkeley the amount of time it's taken them to set up subcommittees and find this out. I know that there's state mandates, and I believe one of them would be by state statute how many members of each town would be on the committee, but they don't mandate what the terms would be, whether they be elected or appointed. We sat down and discussed a tuition agreement with Berkeley, and there wasn't a lot of talk about regionalization, but everything in that meeting was positive. They came to the high school, they were happy with the physical appearance, they were happy with the programming, and we were 100% in favor of continuing talks with them. I believe what they're looking to do now is exhaust all possibilities with Somerset before they go another route. But I think regionalization is something we have to consider because the state is looking to mandate it. So it has to be, at least, in the background, we have to be thinking that way. And I think that we need public input. You can't get regionalization without town support. So I think that that's something that we need to do, is be out there and talk to the public about it and find out what they would think, whether they would vote for it or not. There's no point in bringing it up if it won't get voted on.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question goes to Mrs. Freitas.
Mrs. Freitas, what are the best parts of the schools in your term? What have you seen as looking good out there?
Well, I think, our student achievement is incredible. We have students that currently, on our MCAS, we are scoring above the benchmark standards in our high school in both math and ELA. And I don't just mean academic achievement. Students are achieving in sports, in drama, in after-school activities. We just now found out today that we scored first in a competition for programming, for computer programming. Our technology, we have financed our technology, and we've made a commitment to our technology initiative in the schools. And we have increased, we've bought Centios, we've bought computers, we've bought mobile labs, mobile carts, we're using iPods, we're doing podcasts in the classroom, we're trying out new and innovative things with technology. And we replace our computers every 3 years currently. We have 3.36 computers per student. We have 100% of our teachers who are professionally trained in technology. We have 100% of our classrooms that are online. So I think our students, our staff, we have a staff that's second to none. We have our lawyer comes when we have collective bargaining, when we discuss contracts, and we had a group that came last year, and I know it was difficult times in the town, and there really wasn't much choice, but they came and they gave up raises, and they added more cost to their health insurance. And they did this in a very collegial and respectful manner. We always have, our meetings it's amazing. We don't fight, and I think it's because it's fair and equitable.
Thank you.
Mr. Carreiro.
Carreiro.
Oops, sorry.
Well, I think computers are great. Computers are great to have, and I support that they replace them every 3 years. But technology is just not computers. We could have thousands of computers, but it's software. Software is what operates computers, and we have to have up-to-date software. And the software is great too. We can have the software, but we need teachers to be able to be trained in the software so they can teach it efficiently and effectively. And like I said before, Photoshop is something that I think needs to be taught at the high school level. I think right now we're still teaching accounting on paper. It's unheard of. As a college student, looking back in retrospect, I can't believe that I went to a high school that did not have accounting taught in General Ledger or a program like that, QuickBooks. These students, if they're graduating in a business program and not a college prep program, they are not going to be proficient in accounting if they do not learn the software. So that's my take on technology. Technology is great, computers are great, but if we don't have the software to teach the students, then there's no point of having the computers, because computers are computers. It's software that operates computers. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question goes to Mr. Carreiro.
One of the things that was been talked about is moving the dropout rate from 16 years old to 18 years old. Would you be in favor of that? And
I would be in favor of moving it to 18 years old. I think students at 16 years old are not mature enough to make a decision like that. And I would be in full support of moving it to 18. I'd also like to see the out-of-school suspension program that we currently have as our policy amended. I think that's contributing to some of the dropout rates that we are seeing right now. We've seen an increase in dropout rates for the past several years. And right now, we don't have in-school suspension. And every school that I know has in-school suspension, but not in Swansea's Joseph Case High School. There's no in-school suspension there. And right now, we actually pay a teacher to sit at the bathrooms and have a teacher sign in and out of the bathrooms. I disagree with that. Those teachers should probably be in an isolated area with students that are in school suspension. It would promote students staying in school, and that's what I support, students staying in school.
thank you.
Yes, I would support it going to the age of 18, because I think anybody dropping out, it's not a good decision. We've been able to help some of the students that have dropped out, be it through GED classes or the night school that we have set up, Somerset and Swansea, and that has been helpful. Some students, you're going to get students that drop out. I would absolutely like to see it where they couldn't do it before the age of 18. I mean, I think it makes sense.
You all set? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. The next question goes to Mrs. Freitas.
A couple of years ago, the custodian group was privatized, and I was just wondering, you were part of that board, and just wondering how you felt that was going along, and if you'd ever bring back to where the schools have custodial services.
I think we considered everything before we made that decision. It was an extremely difficult decision, and we looked into what the cost savings was going to be. We also looked into how it was going to affect the students. We were able to keep some of our custodians on so that there was not very much change in many of the schools. I have talked to all of our principals and the teachers, and I've gone and seen the schools, and as far as what's being done, they go in as a group and they clean the schools at night, and the schools look great. They look wonderful. So we've saved the cost to the town, health insurance costs, and I think I'm very happy with this decision. We've already signed, I believe the superintendent signed another 3-year contract with them,